Hey, this is the Review Junkie, and today I'll be reviewing the new superhero film, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. As always, my review will be illustrated and the artwork is done by myself. And if you like movies, art, and comic books, please hit that subscribe button because all my reviews are hand drawn, and I like to get to 1,000 subscribers soon so my channel can be official. This movie stars Zachary Levi, Asher Angel, Jack Dylan Grazer, Lucy Liu, Helen Mirren, Rachel Zegler, Adam Brody, Ross Butler, DJ Catrona, Grace Carolyn Curry, and Megan Good, and is directed once again by David F. Sandberg. This is a non-spoiler review, so everything I discuss will have been shown in the trailer. Absolutely no spoilers. I'll tell you briefly about the plot, the characters, my pros and cons, final thoughts, and if this is worth checking out at your local movie theater. So I was interested in seeing this, but I wasn't dying to. The trailers were average and didn't get me hyped up. And to be honest, I was surprised the sequel even got made given the last one struggled at the box office. I mainly watch this because it's a superhero movie and it's my favorite genre. I also like the concept of a kid turning into a superhero, and its premise lends itself to having interesting things happen. Now, I thought part 1 was okay, it was really just average. I didn't get the big hype about everyone saying it's the new Big or Freaky Friday or 13 going on 30 but with superheroes. Anytime a kid suddenly turns 30 something, you gotta have a dedicated scene where they're checking out their new assets. Shazam didn't have that, and who wouldn't be curious about their new sausage when they get upgrades, right? Okay? Okay. Plot wise, Shazam and the gang are still getting accustomed to being superheroes overnight while being students by day. Also, some decisions made by Shazam in the prior film get more fleshed out here, and we get to see the consequences of those actions. We also have new villains, the Atlas Sisters, whom are after something in order to carry out their mission, and so the story begins. Alright, so this is not a horrible film. I didn't love it, but I did think it was slightly better than the first one in a different way, and I did find it entertaining. And the first thing that I really liked was the tone. The atmosphere is lighthearted, and it's a combination of several genres rolled into one, and I thought it blended well. It's action, comedy, and some emotional moments with a small tinge of horror. I also thought the fusion of Greek mythology along with the interesting creatures helped make it stand out. Everyone seemed committed to delivering harmless, zany fun with silly antics, and its comedy is really situated perfectly for a sitcom. And even though it's been done before, it worked here. The wizard was very funny. He had some moments and lines that really made me chuckle. He also has a funny scene where he's communicating with Billy in a unique way, which I liked. But I'm not gonna lie, there were times where the kitty humor had reached its limit and I wanted a break. I also like the new villains, and it was great to have someone like Helen Mirren here. She brought a level of seriousness to the film and even elevated it, but just enough to keep things balanced. Lucy Liu is great here too, and I feel I haven't seen her in a high profile film in ages, so it was just nice to see her back. Their characters are after something and will do whatever it takes to get it, but they do end up being one dimensional villains that we've seen countless times before, which is unfortunate. Next is Zachary Levi. He's great, and I hope we get to see him again. But with the DCEU going in a new direction and rebooting, I really have no idea where it's headed. Him and Freddie probably have the most to do, and they actually have real story arcs here. They both have great comedic timing, and there's also this running gag about Shazam being a complete screw up, which I liked. I also like that he has a one track mind because when you're 17, you're just a horny toad, right? Like, what else would be on your mind? Okay? Okay. I do like the entire cast, and I thought this time they tried their best to give everyone screen time, but it's such a large cast that naturally people will get shortchanged. And this is probably the last time they can play kids because many of them looked older than their actual characters, and I just can't see them coming back for another one. Now, one of the best elements here are the relationships between all the kids, and the best parts are when they have personal conversations in kid form between each other. I found those interactions were great, and the emotional beats really worked. And there were some tender moments that were effective, and I actually didn't expect that. And I actually think you'll be invested in them and get choked up in some of those scenes. Now, I do have a few small cons for this film. It was in part one and it's here again, and it's really the personality shift between Shazam and Billy, which just doesn't make any sense. For some reason, Billy seems more mature as a kid than when he's an adult. And this applies to all the kid characters. Adult Billy just keeps having these ditzy blonde moments, and he's as smart as a box of hair, while Billy is just an emotional train wreck. They're just complete polar opposites. And on top of that, Asher is hardly in this film, so if you're here for him, you'll be a bit disappointed. Now, this isn't a spoiler per se, but you can probably tell Rachel is playing the third Atlas sister, and she has some cool power sets like Doctor Strange level power, and I thought all of that was interesting. However, her character and the way she's written doesn't make sense, and you just kind of have to go with it. She's just there, and she's just never fully fleshed out, and when you sit down to examine things, it will just leave you with tons of question marks. Also, I don't know how she was directed, but her screen presence didn't translate well and was a bit wonky for me. This is a perfect example of being thin and pretty, but it doesn't translate on screen. My next con are the motivations of the villains. Their storyline could have benefited from having a better layer of depth to it. It just didn't. It just wasn't enough to make me feel invested. But I will say there are two twists in the third act, which I didn't see coming, and I thought that those were interesting. Now, the action in this film is decent, but I wish there was more of it or it was filmed differently. It didn't seem to be choreographed or hyper stylized in any way, and I think it needed that to make it distinctive. It didn't have any John Wick flair or Zack Snyder S to it, and I think audiences gravitate towards that. I did like the bridge scene because I felt it was injected with a nice balance of action and humor, along with interesting visuals, and a great song is playing, which made it even more fun. I also thought the fight scenes with Helen and Zach were funny because she's just getting beat up and she's like 70 years old and getting pummeled left and right by some 200-pound mountain man. Now, there are a lot of characters here, and it's a hard balancing act. I just wish everyone got more time, and I wish Mary and the gang got a side quest to just go off on a mini adventure, but they don't. There was also one character that seemed to have a lot of work done, and it was hard to take the person seriously because the motherly bond was just completely sucked out when you pick up on the fact that someone possibly went under the knife. Okay? Okay. My last con is I have no idea why Warner Brothers spoiled this by revealing Wonder Woman is in the trailers. This was a letdown and really took away any surprises that were in store. I even debated about putting her in the thumbnail, but given the secret's out, I included her. Now, I won't tell you what she does, but I like that she's in it, and this may be the last time we see her. Her part is small, but if this was the last time, I just wish she got more to do. And when she arrived, the audience cheered, and we also get her amazing theme song, which is great. Now, there are two post credit scenes, so definitely stick around for that. One at the midway point and one at the very end. I like the midway scene because it felt like it was actually going somewhere, and the last one felt like it was going somewhere as well, but completely abandons it in the last 3 seconds, which was really disappointing. So this brings me to my final thoughts, and this gets a solid 7 out of 10 from me. This movie is nothing groundbreaking, it doesn't take any risks whatsoever, and it's really a superhero film basic level 101. It is very by the numbers. However, it is saved by the likable cast who come off very charming. The comedic tone and the lighthearted atmosphere makes it all watchable. I feel sometimes when a movie is decent that could have been epic gives you enough entertainment that it almost gets a free pass on everything else is screwed up on. I wasn't bored and I felt there was always enough things going on in each scene that really held my interest. So, if you like comic books and you're a big fan of the superhero genre, I would give this a big green light to see this on the big screen where it's meant to be seen. So, check it out and support your local movie theaters. Now, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you like, please subscribe, helps the channel out a lot. Hit that thumbs up button, feel free to share this with your friends, and leave your comments below on whether you like the film or not. And if you happen to have a movie you'd like me to review, please let me know. I'd be happy to watch and illustrate it for a future video review. Thanks again, and I hope the pictures put a smile on your face.